Hey, dear beloveds. I am super extra delighted to be here with you today. I have no idea why, but I have been looking forward to August with my whole heart and soul. I can't even explain it. It's like every time I look at the calendar, I'm like, what do you mean there's another day in July? But here we are. It is the 1st of August here in Australia, and it might be because that's like the last month of winter, and I'm super excited about getting past this cold, but I actually feel like something else is there, and this is sorry, got interrupted. So this is a very big month for the Institute, and there is so much to look forward to this month, and you're going to be seeing a lot of me because I am delighted to let you know that we are leading up to the next live fully guided round of the Initiate program. Now, I had said that I would not be able to run another live round of the Initiate program in 2018. The schedule was just looking too full. I'll be in Italy for all of September, but I just can't stay away from it. And I'm going to talk a bit about why today. And I want to jump into the topic that I'm here to really talk about, which is light work versus shadow work. And I'm excited to talk about this too, and it really feeds into what the Initiate program is all about. And one of the things that I really rail against and have seen happening in more and more in our world is that our contemporary spirituality is a really superficial spirituality, and it's built on trinkets and superstitions. It's built on spiritual retail therapy. It's built on promising that you can bend God to your will to produce the outcomes you want for your own little life, and really has nothing to do with sacred service and has nothing to do with the bigger picture of why we go after our soul anyway, why the yearning of our soul is one of the impossible things to ignore, and that inevitably we are all going to awaken. We are all going to do it. It doesn't matter how many lifetimes it takes. That's the reason that we come to Earth School. The very function of our life is to get to know ourselves as God or infinite unlimited consciousness. So when you participate in something like the Initiate program, you're going beyond the very superficial spirituality, which is about trying to manipulate or bend the universe to your small, narrow view of what success is in the world. And you're actually opening and you're expanding into the truth of what you are. And it's inevitable in that process that everything that you desire will change, and what you yearn for will become so much richer, so much more purposeful, and so much more about what you can do to contribute something to the world rather than just what you can get. You know, Caroline Myss, the great contemporary mystic, says, you know, that spiritual maturity, moving into the higher levels of our intuition, our visionary intuition, is about moving from that, how can I get something to fix my physical symptoms or my financial situation or my relationship troubles, to actually what can I give, or to put it in my terms, how may I serve? And when that happens, that's when inevitably your life will start to flow with abundance, because it's the law. These cosmic laws are what we are going to be diving deep into in the Initiate program, and I'll be doing lots of free lives and lots of free webinars about the laws, because I really honestly believe that understanding the cosmic laws is the antidote to the superficial spirituality that is like a cancer in our world right now, that makes people think they're showing up to a spirituality, but actually they've been sold a lie. They've been given this idea of what it is to seek God, and actually it's just, what is it to seek more to satisfy the ego? And really, that's not going to fly with me. That's not what I stand for. And my mission is to take our spirituality to a place where we become self-initiated, self-reliant aspects of the God consciousness that we truly are. That's it. That's what I want to be here for. So let's talk about the difference between light work and shadow work. And what are they? What are the differences? Let me just have some of my tea. You know, this idea of shadow work is something that is growing in popularity and in prevalence, and in, you know, the spiritual conversation. There's an ever increasing idea of going to meet the dark goddess, or going into the underworld, or going into the shadow. And I have to say, I really applaud that, because this is a little bit towards the antidote of the superficial spirituality, which is all about everything has to be light and fluffy and feel really good, and if it's not, then God's let me down somehow, to actually being safe to explore the the darkness that resides within all of us, because we are all fully expressed aspects of everything. So anything that is possible exists within us because we are one with everything. So we have a personal responsibility then to do the shadow work on behalf of all, especially those who do not know. So we are charged with that responsibility because we have the freedom and the privilege to pursue our soul awakening. And in the priority of needs of our life, we are free enough that we can actually go on this journey of exploring ourselves and getting to know ourselves better, which is the central edict of the spiritual seeker's life. Know thyself. You know, this was written at the Temple of Apollo at Delphi, inscribed over the gateway for a reason. It is the most important thing that we can do. And so we need to go and meet the darkness as much as we need to be willing to meet our lightness. And in fact, we will come to see that they are one and the same. So shadow work to me, if you've been listening to anything I've ever said, is about going fearlessly towards your fear. Because your fear is always where you'll meet yourself as God. Wherever fear shows up, you're being lovingly guided back to the place where you have forgotten that you are God. And that temporary amnesia, the functioning of the ego, that part of you that believes it's separate from God, is to go in there and mine that and go, what's the intel here? What's the universe showing me? What is it that I can discover now that's going to allow me to get to know myself better? Wherever I am meeting my fear, I am getting to know myself better, and to know myself is truly to know myself as God or infinite unlimited consciousness. So if we follow that formula, it's very easy to see that every time fear shows up and you do the shadow work, if that's what you want to call it, of going in to meet your darkness, your fear, there you are emancipating that fear into light, and you are returning to the truth of what you are. If you ignore that invitation, which most of us do because we're not taught that it's safe to go and do our shadow work, to go and meet our fear, we accumulate that fear inside of us. That darkness rises inside of us, and then it comes out in inappropriate ways, or it gets twisted and it becomes ailments in the body, or it turns into, mental health disorders, or it has all sorts of ways that it shows up because it has to escalate to try and get our attention because we haven't paid attention. That first impulse of fear is where we should begin. We should be unafraid. That first niggling thought, the first time that we feel a sense of contraction instead of a sense of expansion, all of that is fear. Another thing I'm going to be doing a lot this month, because it's really important information, is the idea of the anatomy of fear and understanding what fear is and when it's healthy, when it's functioning for us, and when it's become a destructive addiction that we have to really be willing to unpack in order to emancipate ourselves, to liberate ourselves. So this month is going to be all about that. But I want to just kind of clarify what I'm saying here when I say shadow work versus light work. So what's the difference? How do I see the difference? Well, I hope it's becoming pretty bloody clear that there is no difference. When you go to meet your shadow, you return it to the light, and that is light work. There's no way to avoid going to meet your fear. There's no way to avoid doing that work, because if you avoid your fear, you're avoiding meeting yourself as God. And in that avoidance, you create the chaos of your life. And in that avoidance, you delay your own awakening. And in that avoidance, you can see your life falling apart because you have broken the law. Everything exists. All is one, the first Hermetic law within us. All that has ever been imagined and done exists as a resonance or a frequency inside of us. So our personal responsibility is to see the world as an aspect of self and to say, how may I be of service to that world? And not being afraid of fear is absolutely the very first thing that you can do, to use fear as a friendly ally, to take you to those places that you're terrified of, and to sit in the discomfort and say, show me what it is I need to know here. Let your fear be your ally. Now, whether you call that light work or shadow work, I don't mind, but do the work. And don't come to me and say, but my life is still chaotic and I can't make things work and I got no money and I haven't got this and I haven't got that. And I will say, as Joe Dispenza says to his students, which I just love when he shared this anecdote, are you doing the work? And they're like, no, Joe, you don't understand and my life is blah. And he's like, no. Go and do the work, and then you come back and tell me what your life situation is like. Because until we're willing to show up to our devotion and our practices, until we're willing to meet that fear, we are avoiding the most powerful invitation from the infinite to know ourselves as unlimited, to know ourselves as God. the fear is where you'll meet yourself as God. There's no way around that. That is the way it works. And what a freaking privilege to know that, because the majority of the planet are running around like headless chooks with no idea that they have the capacity to meet themselves as God by just sitting with the discomfort, sitting with the fear, diving deep into that horrible ickiness and just saying, I'm not afraid. Because now I know that you are that part of me that is inviting me back to my truth. You are not real in and of yourself. And A Course in Miracles explains this to us when it says there is nothing to fear. The truth is there is no fear. The fear only exists as a functioning of awakening our consciousness. Okay, I want you to hear that. Fear only exists as a function to awaken our consciousness. It is here in service to us. It is inviting us to remember who and what we are. And so the more we go towards that fear, the more we're saying, yes, I accept the invitation. And we neutralize that which is terrifying us, and we begin to truly become masterful in our own lives. So that's my idea of what light work versus shadow work is. And of course, what I hope you're hearing is it's all spiritual devotion. I'm talking fast, I just need a little cup of tea. And so what we're really hoping to do then is to break down these barriers between, you know, what this is the way that you go to meet God and this is the way that I go to meet it, and actually all is one. And even though there are you know, there's fast ways and slow ways to get there, the fastest way to get to that truth that you are the infinite is to go towards your fear fearlessly. Even if it's as scary as hell, you just say, yes, I'm doing this. I am willing to go where I'm being invited to go. And if every time fear showed up, we said, oh, cool, another invitation to get to know myself as God, then we wouldn't get drunk, pick a fight with our boyfriend, you know, eat the cake, or do any of the other avoidance strategies that we have to try to suppress that fear impulse, instead of just going, okay, this is uncomfortable, this sucks, but I'm willing. And your willingness will mean that every time fear rises, it will leave you more and more quickly, because you have created the conditions. You've imprinted the body mind, you've imprinted the soul, you've imprinted the energy body with how you want to be in the world. And so when fear rises, it rises and it goes really quickly. And that's my personal experience. I might have those 5 minutes of self-pity, as Caroline May says, but then that energy drops away really, really quickly. If you find that you are ruminating or you're stuck in a fear impulse and you can't let it go, and it goes on for days and days and days, then there's a very good chance that you're addicted to that feeling state, that low vibrational feeling state. And then fear isn't helpful, because you've just turned it into ammunition to keep you stuck in a particular paradigm. This is the work, my darlings. This is the work of devotion. This is the work of the spiritual seeker. This is the work of the initiate. And if you truly want to go to the deepest, most profound places inside of yourself, if you want to meet yourself as God, then I have no doubt that the initiate program is for you. It will take you wherever you are to the next level. I mean, wherever you are. And so that is what is happening in August. The car is not opening for that for a little while, but you can go to the website and I'll share the link. Register your interest. I just want to make sure that you know this month is Initiate Month, and this is all about everything I'm going to be sharing, and there's going to be tons of free resources. You know I love to give away free stuff as much as possible. This is how to self-initiate. These are the tools that you need to become self-reliant as a spiritual seeker, and to put down those trinkets and superstitions, and to go beyond a superficial spirituality to where your soul is yearning to take you. That's what I want for you, and that's what you want for you. You don't want to just stop at buying a crystal or doing the thing or drinking the green smoothie. You really, really want the depth and the power that comes when you give yourself over bodily to God and say, yes, show me what I truly, truly am. So look forward to August. I sure am. This is the month before the month that I go to Italy for a month. So I'm very excited about that. And there's some incredible adventures coming up this month. Amazing things that I'm going to be sharing, and lots of joyful news to share with you as this month unfolds. We're doing the interviews for the postgraduate diploma at the moment as well. So that's an incredibly exciting opportunity for me. I've got an incredible group of women, all graduates of the 3rd level, who have said, yes, I want to go deeper. I want a sisterhood that's going to inspire me to go big in my vision. I want to learn and deepen into my skills to support others. I want to learn how to master my consciousness and coding, not just as a nice idea, but every breath of my life. And so we will be conducting those interviews throughout August, and the successful applicants will be notified in September. There's only 13 women who will be going into that inner sanctum of the postgraduate program, the spiritual directorship. And that's, you know, quite intentional because it is a very powerful program, and every woman who comes into that group is going to be bringing something exceptional, and it's her job to know she's ready for that, and it's my job to make sure she's ready for that. So that is a very big kind of momentous moment for the Institute as well. We're also behind the scenes putting the finishing touches on the Intuitive Intelligence Symposium. It's called The Future of Intuition, and you can register to be a virtual attendee. That's happening on the 20th of September. All the information will be coming out more closer to September, coming live to you from Tuscany, as well as online presentations, including from Heart Math Institute, Hay House author Megan Watterson. We've got Hay House author Renee Baribeau. We've got podcast host extraordinaire. She's interviewed everyone from Greg Braden to Bruce Lipton to Joe Dispenza, Jen Mavros. We have an incredible lineup of keynotes, and these people are going to be a part of the Future of Intuition Symposium, which is all about what is it, what are we building together, what are we creating that's bigger than us out of this spiritual seeking that we do, what happens when we have this entire community of switched on intuitives who are showing up to do something incredible for the world. So that you can go to the website now and register your interest to attend as a virtual attendee. This is open to everyone. It doesn't cost anything. You only get access for 48 hours, but it will be an incredible 2 days of incredible interviews and presentations from people all over the world. So don't worry, we will make sure you get all of that. That's all going on behind the scenes right now. I'll be finishing off all the keynote interviews, getting all of the presentations together and getting all of that ready so that by September you'll be able to absolutely register and attend and really, you know, be part of that conversation. What is the future of intuition? What's going to happen when we all wake up in a big way to our power? So that's August for me. Big, big, big. Oh, and also, of course, I'm working on the Spiritually Fierce audiobook. That is all recorded. That's an incredibly exciting thing. I just have to get the nuts and bolts and put it into Audible so that you can start listening to that. And I am actually writing one more chapter and re-releasing Spiritually Fierce, the book. Second edition will be coming out by Christmas this year. And that will have a new chapter on spiritual activism and what that means to let your spiritual seeking be of service to the world in a really big way. So I'm excited. I'm working on that chapter right now. That's really, you know, so important to me that I've pulled the book from sale temporarily until that chapter's ready, because it's become very clear to me that what I stand for needs to be really publicly known, and really seeing my spiritual activism as central to what the Institute stands for is something I'm very, very excited about sharing with you. So that will be ready by Christmas. I'm just debating. Let me know. Do you think we need a new cover if we're doing a second edition? If you haven't seen it before, I'll show you the cover. I still have a few copies lying around, of course. So this is the current cover, and we could just re-release it with this cover and a little second edition on the bottom there. There'll be a beautiful copy edit happening because, of course, there were a few spelling mistakes because I really rushed this out. I really wanted to get it in your hot hands, your little hands, hot little hands. This in your hands. I'm not sure what that saying is. And so there are a few copy edits which will be resolved as well. But yeah, let me know, comment below if you think new cover, or are we happy to go with this one? I hope I haven't aged too terribly since this one came out. Of course, I would love your thoughts on that. As you know, with the creation of Spiritually Fierce, the book, my community was deeply involved in that, and I'm really excited to continue that. So I'd love to know your thoughts on whether we get a new cover or whether we go with that one again. So yeah, there's just a whole bunch happening, and it's all incredibly exciting, and it's just continuing to grow. We've got 2 beautiful groups of the 3rd level doing amazing things right now. We've got one group who are up to term 3. They're 2 or 3/4 of the way through. We have another group that are in their first term, and they're only a couple of months away from heading to Bali for the 3rd level retreat, which I always love. I'm so excited that I built that into the business, that every, twice a year I get to go to Bali and hang out with these incredible priestesses. So please do, keep an eye on what they're doing. They're in I Am Spiritually Fierce. My more further along priestesses will be leading Communion Wednesday. That one will be happening every Wednesday. Today it's happening at 12:30, and you'll get a most incredible communion with Priestess Kim Ewing, and she's going to tune into the infinite and see what is there for all of us. So yeah, stay tuned. Jump on over to the I'm Spiritually Fierce group. Come join that community. We're getting very close to 5,000 people in that community, which is incredibly exciting as well. So thank you so much. I've got a few comments. New cover here. New cover for the 2nd edition, new energy. Yep, absolutely. I think that's a really great idea. So I'll go back to the person who put that together for me, and we can get a new cover. New cover. It seems like it's unanimous. I feel like that might be a really good idea, and then we can have a big celebration when the 2nd edition comes out. All right, beautiful. Mwah. Thank you so much for joining me. And that's August. I'd love to hear what your plans are for this incredible month. I feel like there's some big energy available. So if you're trying to make things happen, let me know, and we can cheer each other on. See you later. Oh, can't press my button. That sometimes happens.